All right, we're first going to talk about why discounting your commission hurts your business way more than you've even thought about. I promise. I'm gonna present you some things to consider in this video and in this conversation that I never thought about for a long time. That when you think about it, you don't even know how much it's hurting you. That will make you think about how you charge and what you charge completely differently. Number two, I'm going to make a case for why you should charge a premium for the services in which you offer as a real estate sales professional. And then lastly, we're going to talk about, well, how exactly do you respond when you're at a listing appointment and a prospect asks you to make some type of concession or asks you to lower your commission or to discount what it is that you charge? How do you handle that conversation? I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And if you haven't done so already, a lot of the techniques that I'm going to discuss in this video, you can find in my brand new script book. I just launched it. There's a link to that in the description below. If you haven't downloaded it, you can do that after you're done watching this video. All right, so let's talk about why discounting actually hurts your business. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that the amount that you charge, whatever that number is simply a signal to the marketplace. In other words, what you charge is a representation or a perception that the prospect has of you. Right, wrong, or indifferent, there is an immediate perception that prospects have when they find out how much it is that you charge. There's no different than you being on the consumer side, that people's prices and how much things cost plays a perception in your own mind. And so, let me give you a really, really good example. If what you charge is less than your competitors, in other words, you win business by discounting your commission. You win business by communicating to sellers that you charge less than what most agents charge, that you automatically become a commodity in the prospect's mind. Now, think about a commodity. If people consume commodities, is the perception of value high or is it low? It's very, very low. The perception of a commodity is that it's nothing special. It is not different. That it is what we talked about, it's very low value. It doesn't differentiate from the marketplace. And there's nothing special about it. And so I don't know about you, but the first part is is that the perception you want to give when you're looking to win listings, when you're looking to win clients? Is the perception that you want is that you're just like every other mule. You are just like every other realtor in the marketplace. You bring nothing special. All of you are the exact same. And so therefore, the only value proposition that you offer is by being the cheapest. Now, listen to Blair Enns, who is the author of the Win Without Pitching Manifesto, and what he has to say about commodity pricing.
He says, if we're not losing business on price occasionally, then we are not charging enough. If we need to win on price, then we're not setting ourselves apart as experts. And basically, we're becoming a commodity. Can you expand on that, please?
So in the first proclamation, we talk about one of the ultimate tests of your positioning is your ability to command two things simultaneously. Number one, a sales advantage. So you're in a competitive situation and so competing against other firms, and more often than not, you win. So that's what I mean by sales advantage. You're really good at winning business. And number two, simultaneously, a price premium. You win while charging more. If you can't win while charging more, then that's a sign that the market does not see you as meaningfully different, and you have more work to do on that positioning front. So every time you sell at a premium, that is a signal back to you, a validation of the work that you have done to position the firm and build your reputation in the marketplace.
All right, so now the second way that this, by discounting your commission really, really, really hurts you is that your pricing reflects the tribe that you attract. In other words, the way in which you charge will attract the type of clientele you build your business with and for. Watch, there's 3 types of consumers, okay? There is what we call the free consumers. These are people who, they just want everything for free. They don't value service. They want to do everything on their own. These are people that are never, ever, ever going to do business with you. They're never going to ever refer you. Why? Because there's no need to refer you because they want to do everything on their own. These are people, you know them and I know them. These are people that cut their own grass. This is people that, replace their own roof. This is people that change their own oil. This is people that do everything on their own. There's nothing wrong with them. It's not a right or a wrong, good or a bad. It's just there's just different types of people, right? It's just normal. Just people have freedom of choice. They can do whatever they want. This is just a type of person. These are the for sale by owners. These are the people that just don't value service providers. And they place high value in doing things themselves. They do their own taxes. They represent themselves if they get in any type of legal trouble. These are those types of people. Nothing wrong with them. It's just a type of person. Okay, the next person. These are just cheap people. These are people that want something, but they just don't want to pay for it. They want someone to do it for them as long as they get a deal. So funny. I know a lot of people like this in my own life, but they really, unfortunately, they use people and they never do business with people more than once because once they've used and abused this person, that person who has done business with them never wants to do business with them ever again. They will not refer you any business. They will not refer you any business because they just want to use and abuse people so much so that they squeeze every last ounce out of them. They're not looking to give them any. These are takers. So takers don't reciprocate. Takers are only interested in themselves of what can I get out of this. And this is, quite frankly, this is why you have to be really, really, really cautious when you're building your real estate sales business because there are a lot of consumers who fill this bucket. And unfortunately, there's a lot of you real estate agents who are chasing these types of clients who, want all your flesh and bone to work your rear end off for them. They want you to do it for peanuts. And this is what we call mule-like behavior. They want you to work your rear end off for them. They want you to produce them a phenomenal result as long as you don't get paid to do it. All right. And then lastly, are the value consumers. They want great service. They value great service. They value high quality experiences, and they value expertise, right? These are people that really value relationships. These are the people that have CPAs. They hire people to maintain their lawn. They have a private tailor. They have a house cleaner. And I'm not talking about people that are, we're not talking necessarily about people that have lots of money. These are people that just value expertise. They value their time. They say to themselves, well, I'm the expert in what I do, but I'd rather pay an expert to get me a result that otherwise I couldn't get on my own, right? And so like a CPA is a lot better. They know a lot more about tax strategies than I do. Why would I do my own taxes when I can just simply pay this person a couple $100 to save me who knows how much in taxes? Same thing with the lawn service. I'm going to pay somebody $40 to cut my grass versus spending half my weekend doing it. No freaking way. These are the best referral sources because these people value service. And so when they find a great value provider and they get a good experience, they tell everybody about it and they give great reviews. And so when we look at this, let me walk you through like what Blair Enns talks about it because he says it the best.
You say in the book, I'm on page 122. In boldly charging more than our competitors, we advertise to our prospective clients that we have confidence in our ability to deliver high quality outcomes. When you charge more, you're saying, I believe I can do this better than everyone else. So when you charge more than your competitors, you're essentially advertising to your prospective client, we create higher quality outcomes.
Pricing is positioning. And the way an economist would say it is, economists use this term signaling. There's so much signaling in a price. So there is a lot of information contained in your price, information about your confidence, about how much, how you are in demand, and also about the amount of supply that you have.
So if you're building your business with essentially mostly these types of consumers, because remember, I mean, it doesn't matter what you offer. I mean, the people that value free, they're never going to do business with you anyways. But when we talk about how does it hurt you that you're going into a situation and you're winning the business by discounting your commission, you're thinking to yourself, well, man, you don't get it, Brandon. I'd rather have this money. I'd rather get this listing and get the money in the bank versus having no money in the bank. Well, I get it. That's very, very short-term thinking, right? You may get this deal now. You may. You don't. It doesn't automatically that you're going to get it just because you discount your commission. But even if you do get it, it's short-term thinking, very short-term thinking, because here's what you don't know. Is that as soon as you start to enroll these types of clients, quickly, you start to resent them. Quickly, every single time the phone rings and it's them, you cringe. And it's because, well, you did this person a favor in discounting your commission, but remember, this person's coming for it all. This person wants your flesh, blood, they want it all. They want to see you work. And so they're going to make you work. They're going to text you Saturday, Sunday. They're a pain in the ass to work with clients most of the time that you're like, oh my gosh, I'd rather, this is worse than not having a client at all. And watch this, not all the time, but a lot of these clients don't have motivation. So agents that are desperate to win business by discounting their commission end up with clients that have very, very, very low motivation. So a lot of times they end up working for free with buyers that want to just run them around like crazy. And they never end up buying a house because they have this super, super low motivation. Or they end up with a listing that keeps them up at night that never ends up selling. And so oftentimes to get a client by discounting actually costs you more than not getting the client at all. And so these are just some of the ways it hurts you. And then, oh, by the way, let's just, let's just pretend that you actually do make it to the closing table. How much time, how much effort, how much of your own money did you have to invest to get that thing to the closing table to actually get the commission check? And you actually probably lost money on the thing, let alone generate a profit, which remember, we're in business. Our goal is we're not running a charity. The goal is to make a profit. And so these are just some ways that it hurts you to go out there and win business by discounting your own self-worth. All right, so now let's shift to an argument that I'm going to make on your behalf, okay? Don't get mad at me. I hope that none of you you're mad at me because I'm making a video that supports you providing a better lifestyle for your family. And oh, by the way, providing a better service for your clients. And that's the argument that I'm going to make right now as to why you should charge a premium for your service, why you should charge more for what it is that you do. Again, number one, okay, we'll start off with number one. You attract value-based clients. You attract the type of people who value expertise, who value your skill set, who value your knowledge of the marketplace, who value your advice. That is why they're willing to invest a lot of money by hiring you. It's because that is the type of person they are. And by communicating your premium pricing, this is the signaling that we talked about earlier that you're giving off to prospects. Yes, I am expensive. No, I am not the cheapest. As a matter of fact, I'm probably more than most. And given the fact that I am more than most, my clients continue to refer me to people they care about, and they continue to do business with me. Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, why do you believe that's the case? Knowing that my clients had a choice to get it cheaper. What is the only answer to that question? And let me ask it again in case you weren't paying attention. Maybe you're out walking the cat. If you ask a prospect, you say, Mr. Prospect, let me ask you a question. Knowing that most of my clients come back and do business with me again, most of my clients refer me to the people that they care about looking to buy or sell, knowing that I am not the least expensive agent, or I'm not the cheapest agent, knowing that I'm probably one of the more expensive agents in the marketplace, yet they continue to come back and do business with me over and over and over again. They continue to refer me to people that they care about. Why in the world would they do that? And what is the only answer? It's because you must do a great job. And here's what we know about influence. I've made hundreds of videos about this technique called self-persuasion. When the prospect says the words, it's right. When you say it, it's wrong. They never believe what you say. They always believe what they tell themselves. So if the prospect says, well, it must mean you do a hell of a job, it's got to be right. So you attract great clients. Number two, let's talk about this. It's simple. It's simple math. I mean, it's really, really, really basic, simple. I don't know. What is it? Third grade math, maybe? Yeah, I mean, multiplication, maybe it's fifth grade. I don't know. If you do 10 clients at an average sales price of $10,000, that's $100,000. It would take you double the amount of work by cutting your commission. So let's just say that you charge, I'm just making something up. Let's just say that you charge 3% to list and sell a home, and other agents in your market, or if you were to discount and cut it in half and say, I'll do it for 1.5, it would cause you twice the amount of work to make the same amount of money. Why would you do that to yourself? And this is the most important part. This is the argument that I hope you consider moving forward, is that charging more is not a selfish act. It's actually for the benefit of your client. Why? Well, listen, if you have to deal with 10 clients versus 20 clients, which means you have a lot more energy, focus, time to give those clients, I bet you would tell me you would give that person an amazing, incredible experience. That the service you would give that person would be amazing. Like if you charge somebody what you believe you're worth, and that person decided to pay it, your dedication to fulfilling on that value will be extremely high. Versus discounting your commission and people taking advantage of you, it's like they probably get the worst of you. It's like, dude, I'm going to cut corners. I don't care about that as much as you would if a prospect or a client of yours invests a lot of money to work with you. You want them to thank you for that. In other words, you're going to give them an amazing experience. You're going to pay attention to every detail. You're not going to skip a beat on anything. You're going to over communicate. You're going to give them a world-class experience. You're going to study the market like crazy. You're going to position the home correctly. You're going to do everything from a property marketing and positioning standpoint to get the best outcome for your client. Why? Because your client paid for it. That's why. As a result, they get a better outcome. Your client gets a better outcome. This is the thing that I want to make sure that you take away from this, is that if you've ever been in a situation where you've, thought you were doing somebody a favor and they didn't appreciate it. They actually just were a pain in the ass to deal with as a result of that. It's like, man, I'm never going to do that again. Right. And then you resent them for it. And then they have a lesser experience. They don't refer you to anybody. You never want to talk to them again. They never want to talk to you again. It was a transaction. Okay. When they get a better outcome, what do you get? Happy clients. What happens when you get happy clients? Oh, that's right. They give you referrals and they come back for more. See, you think that charging what you're worth is like taking away from people. It's a shift in mindset. You're not taking anything away. It's an act of service. On the contrary, listen to how Blair Enns explains this.
It requires this mind shift of like you selling time and taking dollars away from people in exchange for your time, to you helping to create enormous amounts of economic and personal value in the world, and you reaping some of that value in the form of compensation as your share for helping to create that value. That's how it works. That's how you should think about it. And until you're able to think about it that way, you will always be in your own way.
Here's the thing though. People keep thinking about this though, because they seem to be hell-bent on convincing themselves they need to charge less to get the work. So you say here in the book, page 125, the characteristic of a commodity is an inability to support any price premium. If we cannot win while charging more, and that's key, you got to win the job while being the highest price, or at least more than everyone, or more than most everyone, then we must face the reality that we are selling a commodity and we're undifferentiated in the marketplace. That hurts, Blair. Why would you talk to me like that?
Yeah, I'll phrase it even harsher.
Oh my gosh. Let me get the diaper.
The world doesn't really need what you do. You can't win while charging more. The world does. If you disappeared, nobody would notice.
All right. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about how do you respond? You're at a listing appointment and everything's going great, but the prospect says, hey, out of curiosity, we've talked to a lot of other agents who tell us that they're willing to, cut us a break to kind of win our business and discount their commission. What can you do for us? So let's break down exactly how you're going to respond to this. And remember, if you don't have my script book, there's a link to it in the description. You can grab it right now so you have all of these objection responses, okay? So can you discount your commission? Well, let's break this down. So I like to break this down into 4 different steps. So step 1 is by giving the prospect some type of stroke. Okay, what we mean by a stroke is when somebody asks you a question that most agents would maybe get a little defensive at, or people would look at that type of request as a little bit of conflict. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to thank them for bringing this up. And so, can you discount your commission? You know what, John, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. Give him or her a little stroke. Oh, thanks. Little pat on the ass, if you will. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of talking about money. In fact, you should talk about money early and often. I'm not afraid to have this conversation. That's a great question. I am glad that you brought this up. In order for you to work with the client, you're going to have to talk about money at some point. So thank the client for bringing this up. Don't try to hide behind it. That's number 1. Okay, number 2. We need to ask the prospect, is this a test? Well, the prospects always say, well, what do you mean, is this a test? Because then you need to clarify this. You need to clarify, and clarifying has 2 parts to it. There's an A and a B. But the first part is, after asking them, is this a test? And they say, well, they chuckle, and what do you mean, is this a test? You need to find out, is this part of the interview? In other words, a smart prospect will test the ability, the negotiation ability of an agent before they hire them, wouldn't they? So is this a test? Is this the prospect testing your negotiation skills? And now it starts to paint a picture. The prospect's not doing that, by the way. It's you planting this seed, right? Hopefully you're with me on this. Is this part of the interview, Mr. Prospect? Or are you genuinely asking me? No. I'm genuinely asking you. What does that do? This is a presumptive question that the seller ought to be testing the agent's negotiation skills, but is not. And therefore, they think to themselves, it's a good question. Maybe I should be finding out if this person's a good negotiator, because what does every seller say they want? An agent who is a great negotiator. That's one of the skills that they say that they want. So after you've clarified, no, I'm genuinely asking if there's anything you can do to give me a break on the commission. Well, why do they ask that in the first place? Do you know why they ask that? Do they care about how much you pay, or is it something else? Or how much you earn, or is it something else? And hopefully all of you are saying it's something else. Do they care about how much your commission is, or is it what they net? You see, most of you that are trying to respond to this objection think you're responding to a commission objection. You're not responding to a commission objection. How do I know? Well, let me ask you the question if you were the consumer. I'll come back to that in just a second. If there was two agents, one agent, second agent, okay? So we got agent one sells the house at $500K, but charges $10,000 to do it, which means this seller nets $490. I know there's other costs. I'm just giving you the example of commission. And agent two sells the house at $475 and charges $5,000, half. They charge half, and they net $470,000. Well, this is how I know this for absolute certainty, that what I'm saying is true. And I've asked it to every seller for almost 20 years. Like, which one would you pick? Which one would you pick? You're going to find out really quick the type of consumer you're dealing with. Are they more concerned with how much they pay a realtor? Or are they more concerned with how much they put in their pocket? And guess what? There are people that, yes, care about how much you pay. Going back to this, what type of person are you dealing with? A free, a cheap, or a value-based client? It's crazy to me. I can't figure this out, right? It's not my job to figure out. But there are people out there who would prefer to put less money in their pocket, I don't know why, than pay more to get more. Now, it's rare, but so the point is, most people are going to pick this, right? When you ask them, what are you more concerned with? How much you pay me or how much I can get you? In other words, if you hire two agents and one agent charges double, but as a result of charging double, they're able to produce a result that put way more money in your pocket than the other agent who discounted their commission, which of those would be more valuable to you? And every single seller, for the most part, is going to say, well, it's about my net number. The reason why they ask you to discount your commission is because they think you're all the same. This is my whole point of this video, that if you're not differentiating yourself by what it is that you charge amongst many, many other things, then you are a commodity. And kudos to the seller to find the cheapest one. If all the mules are the same, then you might as well find the one who charges the least. Yes? So we find out, okay, what type of consumer are they? Then we challenge it. Once we find that out, then we can challenge it. We don't use the word why, we use the word how. Why can come across accusatory. And, if you do it right in a nurturing tonality, I think it's fine. I've done it before. You probably heard me use the word why in some videos, but it's better if you use the word how. And so when you challenge it, Mr. Prospect, how is it in your best interest to hire an agent who is unwilling to demonstrate their ability to negotiate, let alone their own income? But what about your equity? What about your largest asset? How would it be of any benefit to you to hire an agent like that out of curiosity? And get them to think about that. That's a great question. How would it be in my benefit to hire somebody who is not a strong negotiator? Like, there isn't any benefits. Well, that's a good question. I guess I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to hire an agent. I mean, I guess, let me clarify. I mean, you want an agent who is a strong negotiator. Fair? Every seller says yes. No seller's going to fight you on that. And you want an agent, if it's between two agents and one charges more than the other, if the agent who charges more can produce a better result, AKA put more money in your pocket, is it not then worth making the investment? Is it more about what you pay an agent or how much you net? We just talked about that. Every seller's going to say it's about what you net. And we get them to look at this differently. Because if you're making an argument around commission, if you're trying to overcome the commission objection, you're going to lose. Because remember, the consumer's perception of agents is that we're all the same. And so in order to be better, you first must be different.